Welcome into The Exchange with yours truly, Nick Mangold, and my co-host, unfortunately, Mark Sanchez. Mark, how you doing tonight?
Buddy, I got a gift in the mail. I just think it's strange that you send your own bobbleheads to people for the holidays.
Listen, I'm like A-Rod, signed balls, gift packages. I
thought that was Jeter.
Was it Jeter? I
Yes.
Keep it straight.
Yeah.
Come on now.
I love it.
But don't worry, we all get bobbleheads sometimes. Look at this
guy. Nice.
Yeah,
they forgot to put my moles on there though. I draw them in on mine.
Oh, well, this one isn't official, unfortunately, I guess. But as we are in the holiday season, I need this from you, and I'm putting you on the spot because I didn't tell you. So you're just gonna have to roll with it. Top 5 holidays. Go.
Top 5 holidays?
Yes, of all time. Like, what's your favorite holiday? And then what's your second favorite, third favorite? Everyone has their list.
Wow. I mean, I am a big fan of Thanksgiving. I love eating.
Okay, so Thanksgiving. Next.
I grew up in 2 different homes. Like, my parents were split up when I was little, so we'd get double Thanksgiving. Some kids think that's like a bad thing. Like, oh man, I have to do like 2 holidays and 2 this and 2 that. It was awesome. And I really leaned into that.
Was it the same food at both, or was it different food?
Similar food, but I would just, you get to be a glutton for 2 days instead of just 1. It was great. Let's see. I mean, Christmas is great. You can't go wrong with Christmas. I was never really a big Halloween guy. I don't know. I wasn't.
You don't like?
You don't
like candy?
I'm cool with candy, but I don't like seek out candy. If candy's available, I'll get it. But I'm not like a candy
you go to the
guy.
door. You go to the door and they give you candy. It's fantastic.
No, I understand how it works. Thank you. But I don't know. It was never really my thing. Easter's cool. You get a week off of school. I don't know. Spring break. I guess it's cooler when you're in college.
Yeah. Spring break is much cooler in college.
Did you go on a cool spring break in college? I went to Cabo once. That was fun.
No, not really. I didn't do any like crazy wild ones. It was usually just something easy. But your 5th holiday is?
5th holiday would be Festivus. I don't know.
That's a great one. December 23rd. It is. It's beautiful. We have the poll and everything. For me personally, I go Thanksgiving, Christmas, Boxing Day, 4th of July. No, Thanksgiving, Christmas, 4th of July, Boxing Day, and then I would say Labor Day.
4th of July.
Halloween. No, I'll go Halloween. Halloween. Yeah, no, Halloween over Labor Day. Halloween definitely.
Yeah, Easter
gets lost.
A killer beach volleyball tournament here in this community that I live in, and it's gotten pretty competitive. Like, people are bringing in people from the U.S. national team, and 7-foot females just spiking balls right on your face. So it's gotten pretty intense.
Remember when California was running the tourist commercials, and not all Californians are snowboarding and out on the beach, and movie stars and all that stuff. You remember that? It was a tourism ad. You remember that commercial at all?
It was fantastic. I don't know,
but
that's not real.
It's really true.
Everybody's snowboarding or at the beach.
Yeah, exactly. That's a real thing.
Dude, today was the first day it rained out here. Everybody I know, let's go to the mountains for 2 days and go skiing and come home.
It's perfect. All right. So we have a fantastic guest with us today. It's an amazing interview. And in light of that interview, give me your best guarantee you've ever made.
I don't know. I think some of the guarantees I had to have were school tests and stuff, to make sure, I'd study all week, and my dad's like, well, what are you going to get? And I'm like, a B. And he's like, just a B. And I'm like, unless I get an A. He's like, so you're going to get an A? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah. I think you want me to say yes, don't you? Yes. I will go with yes.
So I think something like that. What about you?
I can't count mine as an actual guarantee, but I did. I always wanted a son first, and so I got a son first. So
Yeah,
I
you
guess
did.
that maybe. I mean, I guess I really. I don't know. I'll count it. That's my guarantee.
Call
And,
your shot, boy.
call my shop. Or called. That was 11 years ago.
Damn.
All right. So we have our guarantees. Coming up is our interview with Joe Namath. He was a fantastic guest. He is an amazing quarterback, Hall of Fame quarterback for the New York Jets. Let's check out and see what Joe had to chat with me and Mark.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, man, I've been a fan of yours and Nick's since you guys started out with the team. So thanks for having me.
Oh, this is great. I just remember when you came to our facility during training camp, and I've never seen our coaches get so giddy about Broadway Joe Namath walking through the hallway in between meetings. I mean, coaches stopped everything they were doing. It just further showed me the impact you had on that generation of players. But this all started with you getting drafted by the NFL and the AFL on the exact same day. So take me back to your draft experience and why you chose the Jets and what that was what that was all about.
Well, Mark, Nick, you guys understand. You mentioned coaches, and I was at Alabama and had Coach Bryant as our leader, and I was lucky. Had a great high school coach, had a great college coach, and after we had played Auburn the last game of the season, Coach Bryant came over to me in the locker room, and I was actually taking Steve Sloan's, our quarterback's shoes off because he hurt his knee, and I'm down there messing around with his shoe, and Coach Bryant came over and said, "Joe," I looked up, "Yes, sir." He said, "You know those pro scouts, they're going to be coming around talking about money." He said, "You got any idea what you're going to ask for?" And no, sir, I don't know. Don Truell was a year ahead. I said, he signed, I think, for $100,000 or something. So I was thinking about asking for something like that. He said, well, he took a draw off that big old Chesterfield he was smoking, or Pall Mall, whatever. You go ahead and ask him for $200,000. That's a better place to start. And that was good advice, and it went on from there.
Didn't you get like a car also?
Oh yeah, yes, I did that. But see, what happened, Mark, Nick, these guys showed up at our dorm. I didn't realize that I was drafted by the Cardinals. I didn't hear it. They didn't have it on television or radio even. And I'm sitting upstairs in the dorm, in my room, our room. My roommate, Pelham Butch Henry, named after General Pelham, of course, the Confederate Army. Anyway, I'm up there and I get a buzz that says, "Joe, there's some guys down here in the lobby that want to talk with you." And I said, "What are you talking about?" The NFL scouts. So I went down and they said they wanted to talk to me about the contract. And I was, "Come on, let's go upstairs." We went up to my room, and the two of them sat on my bed because I wouldn't let them sit on my roommate's bed. He'd have thrown me out the window. He was a tight head and a tough guy too. I sat them on, had them sit on my bed, and I sat on the edge of Butch's bed. And they introduced themselves. One was part of ownership with the Cardinals, and the other was the general manager. And they told me they drafted me. And so, what do you want? What kind of money are you going to ask for? And I was embarrassed. I had never heard of that much money before. I was embarrassed to ask for that kind of money. But I said, well, I want $200,000 to sign there. And they said, "Oh my God." The two guys fell on the bed. They leaned back. They went into this, my God, motion. And it made me feel like a jerk. And I said, and a new car too. And the guys looked at each other and said, "Oh, he wants a new car too." And the other guy did ask what kind of car, and I said, "Yeah, I had talked to a former high school teammate of mine who was playing out at West Texas State, and he's from my hometown. And he asked me a couple of days before, he said, well, Joe, what kind of short you going to ask for? What kind of car are you going to ask for, man? I said, man, I don't know. I really hadn't thought about that. And he told me to get a Lincoln Continental convertible. It was the baddest short out there, barn doors opening, you know, kind of out. And so that's what I asked for. And they looked at each other. They said, oh, sure. He wants a Lincoln Continental. Oh,
I love it.
I thought that it was awkward as heck. And then the man opens his briefcase and starts pulling out papers for me to sign. Yeah. And, you know, Coach Bryant had told a handful of us that might get drafted not to sign anything because we had a game coming up in the Orange Bowl. We had a bowl game to go to, and he told us, you'd make us ineligible, you'd be ineligible, you'd be breaking the rules. So don't you sign a thing. Well, the guy had the pen in the contract to sign, and I told him, oh, no. Coach Bryant told us, he said, don't even take a Coca-Cola from him.
I love it.
A bottle of don't even take a Coca-Cola from him. And so I told him, I can't sign, man. You know, we have a game coming up. And it turned, you know, and they just couldn't get me to sign the papers, you know. So that was that, and they left, man.
I love it. I think it's fantastic. You know, when I saw, you know, looking back at it, you know, you ended up choosing the Jets and coming to New York, you know, coming out of Pennsylvania, you know, growing up there and knowing the wonders that is the big city of New York City and, you know, the big lights and everything. Signing the largest rookie deal of any sports at $427,000, which, Mark, I think you signed for just a little bit more than that on your rookie deal, just slightly. When you signed that deal, Joe, what did you buy? Like, what'd you go out and get? Was it the iconic fur coat? Was it a watch? Was it the car? What was that first purchase after signing that deal?
First of all, it was the president of the New York Jets at the time, along with the rest of the ownership, man. They were great. They were terrific. I got a chance to meet them by going out to seeing them play. Sonny Werblin invited me out to play, to see the Chargers play. And my representative, whom I called right after these two guys left, you know, I got a buddy, and we went down to the Old South coffee shop, and we're sitting there talking, man. Hey, these guys offered that money. I didn't know what to do. So I said, I need help. And that's when I called a friend of ours up in Birmingham, an attorney named Mike Bite. And Mr. Bite worked out a deal the way that we would go visit with Mr. Werblin and the Jet ownership out in San Diego. Mike paid for the tickets. I didn't pay for the tickets. Mike was able to pay for the tickets because he was my friend, and we're going out to see what was up. And whenever I met the Jets and Mr. Werblin, especially the ownership and Mr. Hess, there was no contest. It was no contest. New York City, the Jets being really a startup league, because I've been watching the AFL play since 1960, you see. So I had watched them the first four years or so, and I saw some cats that could play, like Lance Allworth, you know, Jim Otto I'm talking about. These guys could play, and I knew it was good football. So I fell in love. I actually liked the ownership, and being in New York, you know, that was attractive too.
You know, I find it interesting. Like, we look back at it, you know, as kids and looking back at history, the AFL kind of being the renegades, you know, where it's a startup league going against the NFL and, you know, working on that merger and everything. Did you guys feel that when you were playing as part of the Jets, I know Bill Callahan used to talk about it with the Raiders. Like they had that feeling, the AFL, that they were the Renegades and they were coming in. Did you have that same feeling as a player, going through it?
Well, no, not necessarily renegades. Those other guys were like they tried to sign me underneath the table or behind the doors. Man, they were breaking the rules. No, we were second class. We were not up to par. We weren't the same quality on the football field. The National League had been around, and they had the players. They had the great players going for them, and we had to prove ourselves. We had some outstanding players, even great players. But until we won, we weren't accepted throughout the football world. The first championship game that was played finally, I believe was in 66, 67. The Green Bay Packers beat the Kansas City Chiefs out in Los Angeles in the Coliseum. Mark, I don't know if you even been to that game, or were you born at that time?
It's a couple years before me.
And then the second championship game, it was the Packers again, and they beat the Raiders down here in Miami. And I've often said, man, if we're out in the backyard playing or whatever, if you lose 2 out of 3 or two, the first 2, God, that third one, you're going to be out of things. So we were lucky in that, not lucky, we had a good team, but we weren't renegades. We were the little guys on the block. We had to grow up. We had to prove ourselves. And until we beat the other side, you weren't going to be accepted. And we won that game. And then in Super Bowl IV, the Vikings had a terrific team, but the Kansas City Chiefs, they did it. So the leagues merged on an even playing, 2 games apiece, right? 2 championships apiece. And I believe they started calling it the Super Bowl. One of Mr. Hunt's grandchildren, there was a ball that they called the Super Bowl, and he said Super Bowl, and then the Super Bowl was dubbed, we go back to the first one now, Super Bowl I, II, III.
Yeah.
So.
And so when you make it sound like they're, you guys were like the second class league and you had something to prove. Is that what in Super Bowl III or the week prior to Super Bowl III, is that what led to the guarantee? Because you're in that press conference and I've heard you talk about this before, but they're just, berating you with these questions about, well, what about the Colts? And what about Johnny U? And what about the NFL? And they're better. And you finally just came out and guaranteed a victory. Is that what kind of led to it, more than just the questioning that week? Everything before that?
You guys played at home when you were kids growing up. You play where you play, and you develop a confidence, an attitude in your side, and you're on your team. Whether they, you just want to prove it. You have to prove it. And sometimes you don't get a chance to prove it. And our team, the New York Jets, we're the ones that earned the chance. I tell you, the tough game, man, and I've said this before, Mark and Nick, the toughest game physically up to that time that I'd ever been in and won was the championship game, the AFL championship game against the Raiders out there in Shea Stadium. I mean, the Raiders were a good team, and when we beat them, we didn't need any extra confidence. We were confident, man, and because we played well and believed we could win. When we beat the Raiders, we were just looking forward to the Baltimore Colts game. And the bookmakers, the odds makers, we have a bunch of them around, even going back then, made us a big underdog. It was ridiculous. At least we thought it was ridiculous, but the football world, hey, man, the Colts were a solid team. They lost 1 game that year. 1 game they lost, that opening day at Cleveland. They lost to the Cleveland Browns. And then in the NFC Championship, they beat Cleveland 34-0. I mean, Baltimore was tough, boy. But Mark, go back. Yeah, there was a wise guy that mouthed off at me at a banquet down in Miami, and I just I had heard enough at that time. I did have a little bit of libation or whatever that stuff.
Yes.
The guy was a wise guy. And when he said that, I told him, I got news for you. We're gonna win the game. I guarantee you. The language was a little different. There was some words. Yeah, he brought it out. If that guy didn't open his mouth and say that, I probably would have never said that because we weren't coached that way.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you did. It's incredible.
Yeah, I'm glad he asked that because it makes for a fantastic story. As you know, Mark and I have a very unique relationship, that quarterback center relationship, and we're kind of stuck together forever. Can you give me a great, and I love the guy, your center for the Super Bowl winning team, John Schmidt. He is a fantastic guy. I've been able to get to know him over my time with the Jets and through different practices and outings and everything. Can you give me a great John Schmidt story that you've never told, like of a center quarterback story? Because I have one of Mark where he ended up TPing my house one Thanksgiving night, which we'll get into that later. But so there's these little things between quarterbacks and centers that no one ever hears about. And I love John. So if you have a good story of that quarterback center relationship, I would love to be able to hear it.
That I've never told. No, I don't. I love John, man. We were tight, of course. But he was a workhorse. Guys would go to work before practice. John was one of them. The payroll at the time, guys were earning $10,000 a season. $20,000 was high. A veteran like Grantham might have been getting $30,000, and our guys went to work in the morning. And our general manager and coach, he knew that they needed that additional income, so we didn't practice until noon. We didn't have to be out there until noon every day. And that kind of helped some of us be able to get around town in the evening, because being a quarterback and a center, you got to know numbers. Well, how many hours we need to sleep, right? And if you get your 7 or 8, well, what time does that mean you go to sleep? So the nightlife was good. John Schmidt was wonderful. He's a very emotional guy. And I've told this story. I've got to tell you. I mean, I see pictures where John's picking me up off the ground by the back of my pads, picking me up off the ground, helping me. He was always special out on the field. But this was funny to me. Now, I've told this before, but because I don't recollect anything I haven't said about Schmidt already, you see. We were at training camp. I was a rookie at training camp. But no, this was my 4th year, man. We trained up at a military prep school for my first 3 years there, because a couple of the owners were on the board of the school up there. The beds didn't fit. Nick, you would have had to get the wood. They brought in lumber to put on the bed so they could make them big enough. But anyway, Schmidt, our center, who's got a great personality, but one day at training camp out at Hofstra, I go downstairs, and there was only one phone in the building that you could use. It was a pay phone on the wall, right? It was on the wall, and there was a line of guys, usually 2-3 deep, to use the pay phone. Well, I come downstairs, I'm going to make a phone call, man, and Schmidt's on the phone. So I start standing there, waiting. And all of a sudden, John starts sobbing, crying. Oh, honey, I love you. I miss you. I love you. I want to see you. I can't get along without you. Oh, God. Well, we're at Hofstra at Hempstead. his wife was over there at Merrick. I mean, you could almost walk there. My man, you're a henpecked? You talk about a guy that was henpecked. We used to bust chops about, guys, the girlfriend had them under their thumb and stuff. Well, was definitely a henpecked from the get-go, boy. But he was always a great player, wonderful man. He was terrific.
That sounds just like Nick. That's so funny. We have so much in common. No, I remember Nick. We're in the divisional game. We were playing against the Patriots, and I was mouthing off a little bit because we had started winning, and we either had like a quarterback sneak or something. But Vince Wilfork was the big defensive lineman there, and he came across the line of scrimmage on something, and Nick jumped right in front of me. And all I could think, like, I'm trying to stand my ground like I'm some tough guy, and he's like 350 pounds. That dude would have squashed me with one hand or threw me out of the stadium or something, and Nick stepped in front, and I remember just thinking, like, thank God. Thank God Nick's here. I was so scared, but I had to stand there, So we love our centers. That's too funny.
You've talked about how much fun that you did have in Manhattan, and our good buddy Mark here had a lot of fun as well. You obviously had more years of opportunity to take advantage of everything that Manhattan has to offer. How would you rank how Mark did in his nightlife and dating scene? Did he do well enough? Could he have done more?
He's looking great. Look at him. He's here. He's healthy. He's strong. The man scored. What are you going to do?
I don't think he went out enough.
Some things we don't tell the whole huddle, or we don't talk about, out there.
Thank you.
There are things that we try to keep, and we do keep to ourselves or between just the two of us, the three of us, or whatever it is. Mark did just right. He's fine.
Thank you. What about this? I know you had an acting career. You pursued acting once you were done playing. What was your favorite role or your best acting experience, and what was the toughest part?
Yeah, the toughest part was not being educated. The toughest part was learning on my feet, so to speak. I had an opportunity, is what it was. There's an old vaudevillian who had the Kenley Players of Ohio, a theater troupe, and he got the idea that I would be good for a play called Pickney, and maybe sell some tickets. And we started out, the Kenley Players of Ohio was in Columbus and Dayton, Ohio, and another town there. Anyway, I said, wow, this is cool. Because I had appeared in many TV shows or so before that, but I never studied. I didn't have the education. And it was testy. It was wonderful. I recognized the longer I've lived how little I knew. And how I kept just getting opportunities, and things worked reasonably well. I met wonderful people, worked with wonderful people, and some jerks too. Like on a football team, hey, you're working together, and some guys aren't. Just we go our separate ways. We don't have to love one another. We do our work together. But then, I worked with guys I saw when I was a kid almost, on the big screen, man. Lee Marvin, we're doing it. And Robert Shaw, we're over in Germany and Italy with these machine guns, Tommy guns shooting her. I'm looking, Anne Margaret, my God, she was wonderful. So the nicest lady I ever saw. I saw her with Elvis Presley, and she was special. She was fire. When I was looking at the movie, she was such a nice person. Just
that's
one.
Cool.
Yeah. They were so. I think everyone that I don't have any bad memories of any of the plays, theatrical productions, movies. I don't have bad memories. I just wish I could redo them. You're learning on your feet, man. You look back at it, God Almighty. But I wasn't prepared for this, and it worked out. I had some wonderful times.
That's cool.
Joe, how do you think, as you look back and you reflect back and the awesome career, being able to do some of the acting, being able to do the things that you've done, if you were to come out now and come into the NFL, how do you think you would fare? How do you think you would deal in today's NFL compared to the NFL of the 60s?
I probably wouldn't make the roster. First of all, I had a wheel. I had a knee, that we never did get right, but I was able to play. And when I see the game today with the players today, it's wonderful. It's faster than ever. I never took a snap from shotgun. We were under the center all the time. We didn't have the kind of motion, the movement offensively that we see today in the games, even the last several years. The coaching has improved and the players have improved immensely in every sport. Yeah, I think I don't know every sport, but you look at these guys playing hockey now, man, and playing basketball. I repeat myself sometimes when I'm sharing some history, but the guy that invented basketball, Naismith, I don't think he ever thought it was going to be played above the rim. I mean, these cats are up above the rim these days, and many years past. But the nutrition, the food, the weightlifting, we did not even have a weight room at the University of Alabama or at the New York Jets. We didn't have a weight room. John Riggins came in, and he was the guy, he'd hit a speed bag. He brought his own speed bag in and hit skip rope and do that kind of thing. But it was so different. No, I certainly couldn't have measured up back then. I think it'd be hard. There were special athletes, Gale Sayers. Gale Sayers could play anytime, he'd be able to go with Jimmy Brown. No, the game is wonderful today, and you work at it year round now.
Yep.
Remember, I mentioned we had guys going to work in the morning to practice.
What did your center do for work for his day job and then go to football? Where did he work?
Schmidt was in good shape. His grandma was president, I believe, of a union, and he got some good work. And John always shows up in his Rolls Royce for the last 25 or 30 years. With his Rolls Royce with whatever alligator shoes he has, man. He's as clean, he's slick as a whistle, boy. He is sharp, and he has the threads and the automobile. His children are good, educated. He's a great man, John Schmidt. He's raised a beautiful family, and he earned it. I mean, he worked it. He put the time in, buddy.
That's great.
I do love that Rolls Royce that he rolls up in. It's fantastic.
That's cool.
Although I think in today's day and age, if it was still the same and you come out and you're coming out of Alabama, I think what would be more impressive, obviously I think the football would still translate, it would just be a different game, but I think you would have been I think an ultimate social media influencer, if it had it at the time. Like Mark barely is, but I feel like I think you could have taken the reins of that and really dominated that role, which I think would be really cool to, like, when I think about these kind of things, I think it would be awesome to be like, God, what would Joe Namath be like if he had Twitter or Instagram? I think it would be amazing.
You know what? I go back, I think about what my mother was saying about a 12-cent loaf of bread. Hey, what's it cost today? I remember gasoline at 18 cents a gallon, 25 cents a gallon. Time marches on, man, and things change big time. That's probably our only constant is change, and the game of football, and I could mention the other games, the other sports, it's grown. It's so much better. these athletes. You watch it, and not to take anything away. You can't take anything away from the Boston Celtics that won all those championships with Russell and all. But you watch a highlight film, and they're coming up the floor kind of slow, passing the ball. You look at these guys today playing basketball, man. They're up and down that court flying. It's a different world in so many ways.
It really is. And I think, as we like to finish these things up, we would like to do a little rapid fire questions for you. Just a, quick one answer, either or, this or that type thing. So we're going to hit you with a couple of quick ones just to see where you land on some of these things, if that's all right with you, Joe.
Well, it's all right with me because I know I don't have to react.
All right. So here's the first one. Give me, are you Mets or Yankees?
Oh, man, you see that? I could spend a half hour on this. Yeah, you know what? We played with the Mets. Yogi coached the Mets. He played for the Yankees. Mickey Mantle and I were tight, man. We worked together. We had a trainer with the Jets that went and became the trainer for 40 years with the Yankees. Joe Pepitone brought the first hairdryer into the locker room, you see. These guys. I would love to see the Yankees and the Mets play and the best team come out. I don't have a favorite. I'm a people guy.
I love it.
Understandable.
I love
it.
For example, guys, people on every team around the league practically, right? You just want to see a good performance and the team that earns it come out on top. I'm a Yankee fan and a Met fan. I promise you that. I even had the Yankee uniform on.
Okay, that was good.
And Yogi Berra. I mentioned Yogi was standing in Shea Stadium. He was working with the Mets at the time. And Yogi and I are talking, and a restaurant came up. Which restaurant do you like, or whatever? And I said something, and he's, nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. You had to live a while to understand that. I thought he was crazy, but I could see now if it's a crowded joint, you don't go there if you're somebody like Yogi or whatever. Yeah.
That's funny. Well, I love the political answer. What about Knicks or Nets?
Oh, Knicks or Nets? Well, it starts out with the Knicks, man, because Clyde was smooth as could be. Bradley, I'd be over there watching those games, man, when those cats were doing Lucas. Hey, God almighty, they were great. And then the Nets, I went over to Fort Lee to watch them play when they were the other league or whatever first, before this all kept rolling. There was a guy that lived across the street from me at Gobbler's Knob. He had a joint called Gobbler's Knob over there, a bar. And he had been a Duke graduate and a basketball player. Art Heyman was his name. So we ended up going over to watch Art play basketball. So, but the Knicks to start with, yes, and to this day.
There we go. All right, next one up is Peter Luger's or Delmonico's.
Well, you know what? Only because I've been around a while, man. I've got to be politically correct here. They're both wonderful. You can't go wrong.
You had your own steakhouse. You had a steakhouse.
Yes, we do. We have a couple of nice restaurants here in Jupiter, right on the South Jetty of Jupiter Inlet. Charlie's and Joe's at Love Street. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The food's outstanding, and a lot of folks are frequenting the place.
But you had a steakhouse in New York. Is that correct?
No. Oh, well, I had a fast food operation called Broadway Joe's originally. But Broadway Joe's Steakhouse was there since the 50s or so, or late 40s and 50s down in the theater district around 41st or so off Broadway.
Okay, very good. Okay, what if you had to pick one borough in New York, what would you pick?
You're kidding.
Staten Island, obviously.
Well, I mean, Manhattan is what.
Thank you. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I mean, I went through Queens, Flushing many times, man, and out to Long Island too. over to the Bronx, man. Yes, sir. But Staten Island only just once.
All right, last one for you, and this one is going to be. I assume I know the answer to this one after the answers that have been given already, but I'm still gonna ask it. All right, Empire State Building or Statue of Liberty?
Oh, please, the Statue of Liberty. Ladies first, and she means so much more, man, to us, to all of us, the whole country, the world. The Statue of Liberty. Yeah, Empire State Building is special, and I got lucky. Was able to take my daughters up there, and the man that took us there took us all the way up above, all the way up to the top of the Empire State Building, above the level where we normally go. And it was exciting.
It is awesome up there. Joe, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to spend a little bit of dealing with Mark and I, because I know we're a lot. But thank you so much, Mark and I really appreciate you coming on, chatting with us. It means the world, knowing our Jets history and what you mean to this organization. To have you here with us, it has been fantastic.
Well, I thank you. I like you guys both. I feel like I've known you for half a lifetime too, and I'm still wearing the green, boy.
Yeah, baby.
Green.
That was awesome. I mean, Joe Namath, who's better than that? What a great guest. I loved his stories, and talking about him being out in Manhattan, being drafted by 2 different football leagues on the same day. I mean, that guy, I could have sat in there for hours with him, but we appreciate his time. And Nick, that brings us right back to the holiday season. And I'm curious, what's the best gift that you've given or received?
Well, I don't give gifts. I'm only given.
Oh, I know.
Because I'll get out of here. I gave you the gift of protection. Let me see here. I feel like this is obviously a straight plug for yourself, because you were a fantastic gift giver. So now I have to choose between. Although I will say, one of my welcome to the NFL moments was in 2006, my rookie year. Chad Pennington got us all Blu-ray players, when they first came out. So they were huge. And they were amazing, and nobody had the disc anyway, so it didn't really matter. But it was one of those things yeah, I got a Blu-ray player, but whatever.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Then he also got us a MacBook, which was amazing.
Oh, nice.
So Chad was fantastic. But you came in over the top. It's a tough call. You did some great gifts over the years. I love my watch. That's a lasting one. I'm a big fan. But my favorite was by far the travel voucher. Which was, I think it was your first year.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that one, we used it we had self-plug. I was in the Pro Bowl, which was in Miami that year. And so we used the travel voucher. We flew from Miami to Cabo. And it was our first time staying in Cabo. We had never gone before, probably never would have without the voucher.
Yes.
Because the travel agent lady kind of directed us that way. So it was and now Cabo is a very special place. So that was a fantastic gift. So
little did you know, I was talking to the travel lady and I was like, hey, keep the prices down, send them to Cabo or something. It's don't let them go anywhere.
Don't let them go anywhere else. I got a good deal in Mexico. They'll take care of me. Don't worry. Exactly. Yeah, quarterback had to be tough because you're always giving gifts. I don't know. Do you have a favorite gift that you received, or was it more the joy of giving gifts?
I enjoyed giving the gifts. I liked seeing guys getting the stories of where they went. Knowing that guys still wear the watch, that's really cool. Because that took a little time to figure out what we wanted to get and pick out and all that. So that made it really fun for me. But it sounds like we got some gifts for some season ticket holders and people who listen to the show.
We do. And we have the helmet. I have a helmet right here.
Let me see.
I don't know if you have one as well. But we are going to be signing these massive helmets, which I still they're pretty heavy. I don't know how I wore these.
My helmet delivery service here. Say what's up, guys.
Perfect. What's up, DJ?
Say go Jets.
Go Jets.
All right.
There we
Who's
go.
this?
Nice.
Jets.
The New York Jets, baby.
Yeah, Jets.
Very good. So we're going to sign these.
We're going to sign these, and as a thank you to our valued season ticket holders, we're putting a few of these signed helmets up on the Jets rewards portal for you. Visit nyjets.com/rewards to access the portal and redeem yours. It's just a little gift giving. You know, Saint Nick. I had a Santa hat on at the game this past week, so it was a lot of fun. So we're just in the giving spirit, really.
That's perfect. Well, I appreciate it, Nick. We want to thank Joe Namath and our sponsors. So much fun today. But don't forget, as listeners, be sure to rate, review, and follow us. Listen to us on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.